Good afternoon. This is Rich Nelson with Allendale. Let's cover the wrap-up commodity comments. Today is Wednesday. This is January 26, 2011. Very big day here for grains. Obviously, a good comeback here. As far as overall news stories, we still have this whole idea of food inflation, food fears, those type of things are still kind of driving the trade. Overnight, the Prime Minister of Algeria essentially told the state grain buying arm of the government, you know what, it's time to step up some purchases. We are very scared of what's going on in our neighbors, Tunisia, where they basically kicked out the president due to unemployment riots as well as food-based riots. We also have concerns about riots going on in Egypt and some other areas as well. So with all that going on, the Algerian State Grain Buying Authority went ahead and did step up some purchases. A large 800,000 ton purchase was made. This is optional origin. It's going to be most likely EU based. We simply just don't sell to Algeria here. So a big purchase there, got the trade excited here, and renewed focus back on this whole food fears, food inflation, those type of fears here. That certainly helped out here. As far as overall trade today, corn up 14 cents. This is the last trade, not a settlement. This is only a penny and a half off the highest close we have had. And as I said, that's the last trade here at this point. So very good comeback for corn. Soybeans up 10.5 cents. Okay job there. Wheat, of course, led the way up 19 cents. This was new highs for the wheat contracts for this uptrend right now. As far as news for corn, we can point out that though the Argentine weather situation has improved, certainly there's no doubt that the crop situation there for corn at least is more or less stabilized. Maybe a slight increase could be seen if this good weather continues, but certainly the excitement is not on corn as far as that goes. As far as other news for corn, notice that 5 senators are trying to put out a bill here in the Senate here actually today, suggesting that auto manufacturers go ahead and raise the percentage of flex fuel vehicles, trying to raise some ethanol usage. They suggest that the manufacturers should have up to 50% of the of their output being flex fuel vehicles. That's very exciting here. By 2016, that number could jump to 90%. Of course, this measure has absolutely no bearing on reality, and certainly will not become to pass. But simply interesting to see that some farm-based senators are still trying to push for ethanol at this point. For soybeans, we of course have this the good news. China bought 60,000 tons of old crop soybeans and 167 of new crop soybeans. That comes on right on the heels of yesterday's very large new crop purchase. Also helpful, we have the port workers strike going on in Argentina. Certainly good news on this side. We will note that beans did kind of drag today. The fact they didn't keep up with corn and certainly not with wheat. A couple of reasons why. Of course, the Argentine weather situation. Good rains here right now and going into tomorrow. And of course, another good rain is scheduled here for Monday, Tuesday next week. So that's a little bearish, keeping this market from rallying too much. Also, tomorrow's Census Bureau crush report may have a little bad news. It may show that December soybean crushings were down 12% in November, I should say in December. That's even worse than the NOPA crush report, which comes out earlier in the month. That one showed an 11% drop. So we could see some bad news on the crush numbers there. As far as livestock, we'll start out with hogs. Quite a bit of excitement today. Of course, the April contract led the way, settling up 275, obviously with trade up to limit today. February only up 102, or I say up 120 here. Main news for the hogs, of course, we have the market focused on the South Korean situation. Yesterday we learned that the government would allow 60,000 tons of metric tons of pork to be imported with no tariff. Today we have one of the main meat import associations suggesting, you know what, we probably won't see this extended past that June original deadline. The simple fact is South Korean hog farmers are pretty much mad right now. They can't sell their hogs, and in fact now we're allowing these foreigners to bring in pork under no tariff. So with that in mind, there's a big push to get as much pork in this country as possible, or say into South Korea as possible. And that's why the April and not some of these back deferred contracts really rallied well here today. The simple fact these buyers are pushing for short-term deadlines, trying to get this meat in that 60,000 ton time frame. As far as neat news here today on the hogs, June hogs finishing up 99.45, almost at that magical $100 mark. Of course, we do expect that to be hit here in the next few weeks, and certainly meet our upside objectives on the hogs here. As far as record highs, record high was 2009 June hog contract. It hit 120 cents. Of course, that was done during that 2008 rally that was based on the Chinese buying for the Olympics. So the record high for June, or of any contract, was June of 2009, $100.20. Over on the cattle, up $1.12 on the April contract. Big news for the cattle is simply lined up with this cattle inventory report. We're going to have our own special webinar out tomorrow for you guys to take a look at, covering this very big biannual cattle report. This one is not something that the market trades from for short-term direction. In other words, you're not going to see a big jump Monday based on this Friday afternoon report, but this is certainly going to set up for this long-term story we keep on talking about in the cattle. And that long-term story is declining supplies and increasing demand, and all of that's coming to head right now this year. So very exciting news here, and you're going to have a great kind of perspective on what this inventory report means for the long-term picture through this webinar. Other news for cattle, we've got a gap from 112.25 up to 112.57. Actually, the market rallied enough to get right in that gap here today. Looks like we should finish the rest of that here tomorrow. As far as other things going on in Allendale, like I said, we've got this great webinar we're doing here today. We'll be available with you guys here tomorrow. And, of course, we have a lot of interest coming in for this next month's crop report already. What type of numbers will USDA be throwing at us for soybean exports? We'll be covering that issue in future commentaries in the future here on that Allendale Advisory Report. If you have any questions about anything you've heard on the report here today, or markets and marketing in general, hedging or trading, give us a call here at Allendale, 1-800-262-7538. This is Rich Nelson. Have a good trading day and a good trading week.